An historic first. A team of primatologists has succeeded in teaching Quigley, a western lowland gorilla.
In a sterile laboratory surrounded by researchers who had known her for decades, a gorilla gave her final message to the world. And it was a bombshell. This wasn't Koko, the cute ape who adopted kittens and hugged celebrities. This was something else entirely. She made a declaration about the human race that was so unexpected, so stunning, that the lead scientist reportedly had to sit down. The full story has been buried in academic papers and sealed records, but now the truth is emerging about the talking gorilla's shocking final judgment on all of humanity. The judgment of Koko. You see, for decades, Koko the gorilla was a global sensation. Many people are crazy about the story of the gentle giant who could talk. She appeared on the cover of National Geographic. She famously mourned the passing of her friend Robin Williams, and she showed the world that the line between humans and animals was blurrier than we ever thought. Scientists studied her every move, documenting her incredible ability to use over 1,000 signs from American Sign Language. She could communicate feelings like happiness, sadness, and even mischief. But not all things are what they seem. Behind the heartwarming stories, something profound was taking place. Koko was observing. She was learning. And she was forming an opinion. The thing nobody tells you is that Koko's vocabulary wasn't just for asking for things. She could express complex, abstract thoughts. She invented her own compound words, like signing finger bracelet for a ring or eye hat for a mask. Her intelligence was tested repeatedly, and her IQ score was estimated to be between 75 and 95, a score that is not far below the average for a human. For comparison, the average human IQ is set at 100. This wasn't just a clever animal. This was a mind at work. And as she watched the world through television screens and the pages of magazines her handlers showed her, that mind began to draw some terrifying conclusions about the dominant species on the planet, us. The bombshell dropped during a scripted message she was coached to deliver for a French environmental group ahead of the 2015 Paris Climate Conference. While the session was heavily edited, the raw, unfiltered message she signed was staggering. The message read, "I am gorilla. I am flowers, animals. I am nature. So far, so peaceful." But then, her hands moved to form a sentence that hit the researchers like a lightning bolt. "Man! Stupid!" There it was, a judgment, clear as day. But she wasn't finished. With a look of profound sadness, she continued, "Koko sorry. Koko cry. Time hurry. Fix Earth. Help Earth. Hurry. Protect Earth. Nature see you." The final sign, "Nature see you," was the most chilling of all. It wasn't a plea. It was a warning. The kind of thing you say when you know something bad is about to happen. Scientists were stunned. They had expected a simple, coached plea for conservation. What they got was a haunting verdict on humanity's intelligence and a prophecy of impending consequences. This gentle giant, who had spent her life as a bridge between two species, delivered a final devastating assessment of mankind. But how could a gorilla understand concepts as vast as climate change and the future of the planet? The answer lies in the incredible and controversial experiment that was her entire life. What she did next would change animal science forever. More than an animal. The story begins in 1971 at the San Francisco Zoo. A one-year-old gorilla named Hanabiko, which is Japanese for fireworks child, was chosen for what would become one of the longest and most famous interspecies communication studies in history. The project was the brainchild of a young PhD student named Francine Penny Patterson. Penny's goal was audacious, to teach a gorilla sign language and, in doing so, shatter the belief that humans were the only beings capable of complex thought and emotion. She renamed the young gorilla Koko, and their journey together would last for nearly 5 decades. From the start, it was clear Koko was no ordinary animal. You see, many people believed animals could only be trained through repetition and reward. But Penny treated Koko like a human child. She spoke to her in English constantly, while simultaneously teaching her American Sign Language. Within months, Koko began to sign back. Her first signs were simple: eat, drink, more. But her progress was explosive. By the time she was a young adult, Her working vocabulary had surpassed 1,000 signs, and she understood over 2,000 spoken English words. This was a vocabulary larger than some humans possess. The thing that stunned scientists wasn't just the number of words she knew, but how she used them. Koko demonstrated a grasp of grammar, past and future. She could lie to avoid getting in trouble, a sign of a theory of mind. In one famous incident, after yanking a steel sink from a wall, she blamed her kitten, signing, "Cat did it." She could even talk about her own internal emotional state. When her first pet kitten, which she had named All Ball, escaped and was struck by a car, Penny told Koko what happened. Koko was quiet for 10 minutes before signing, "Sleep Cat," and then let out a series of deep, hooting cries, a sound her handlers had never heard before. She was grieving. This display of emotion was a revelation. It proved that the rich inner world we thought was unique to humans, love, grief, memory, existed in other species. She showed empathy, humor, and a deep understanding of the world around her, forever changing the public perception of gorillas from mindless brutes to intelligent, feeling beings. But as Koko's fame grew, so did the questions from the scientific community. Was this real communication, or was it something else entirely? The controversy was about to cast a shadow over everything. Science on trial. But not all things are what they seem. As Koko's story captured the world's imagination, a fierce debate was brewing in the halls of science. The central question was a tough one. Was Koko truly using language, or was she just an expert mimic? Many people were crazy about the idea of a talking ape, but some scientists urged caution. They pointed to a phenomenon known as the Clever Hans effect. Clever Hans was a horse in the early 20th century that was believed to be able to perform arithmetic. It later turned out the horse wasn't counting at all. It was just reacting to unconscious, microscopic cues from its human questioners. Critics of Project Koko, most notably Dr. Herbert Terrace from Columbia University, argued the same thing was happening here. After conducting his own sign language study with a chimpanzee named Nim Chimpsky, Terrace concluded that apes were not capable of true language. He claimed they were just imitating their trainers to get rewards, stringing together random signs that their human handlers would then interpret as meaningful sentences. He accused Penny Patterson of being a well-intentioned but biased interpreter, seeing what she wanted to see in Koko's signs. He pointed out that most of Koko's famous conversations were anecdotes reported by Penny, not data from rigorously controlled experiments. The thing nobody tells you is that the pressure on Penny and her foundation was immense. There were claims that the video clips released to the public were heavily edited to make Koko's signing appear more fluid and coherent than it actually was. When Koko signed, "Man stupid," was she really making a philosophical judgment on humanity's environmental policies? Or was she just repeating signs she'd been coached to perform? Some sign language experts argued that Penny, who wasn't a native ASL user, was misinterpreting the grammar and context of Koko's gestures. They claimed that the foundation was projecting human thoughts and feelings onto a gorilla who was, at best, a gifted student of mimicry. This controversy split the scientific world. On one side, you had compelling, heartwarming evidence of Koko's emotional depth and intelligence. On the other, a mountain of scientific doubt and a lack of verifiable peer-reviewed data. The debate raged for years, and in many ways it still does. It forces us to confront a difficult possibility. Maybe we heard exactly what we wanted to hear. So what is the truth? Was it all a lie? What if she was right? So, where does that leave us? The thing is, when you strip away the scientific debate and the controversy, you're left with a powerful, unsettling story. Maybe the scientists who doubt Koko are right. Maybe it was all just a beautifully complex illusion, a reflection of our own hopes and desires to connect with another species. Perhaps Penny Patterson, in her decades-long quest, saw language where there was only mimicry. It's the safe, logical explanation. But then you have to ask yourself, what if they're wrong? What if that explanation is just an easy way for us to dismiss a truth that is too uncomfortable to face? What if, for just a moment, we take it all at face value? What if a being from another species, one that shares 98% of our DNA, actually learned our language and used it to give us a message? Think about it. This wasn't a scientist in a lab coat or a politician at a podium. This was a voice from nature itself, a creature who lived outside our chaos, our ambitions, and our greed, looked at what we are doing to this planet and delivered a one-word summary. Stupid. It's a thought that's hard to shake. Are we missing some key detail right in front of our faces? Is it possible we are so caught up in our own intelligence that we can't see the simple, devastating truth that a gorilla could? This is where the story goes deeper, into the realm of wild theories that circulate in the quiet corners of the internet. Many people are crazy about these ideas because the official story just doesn't seem to cover everything. The thing nobody tells you is that Koko's public statements were carefully curated. We saw the heartwarming clips and the climate change message, but she was communicating for over 40 years. What else did she say? One theory suggests that hours of controversial conversations were never released because they were too bizarre or too frightening. Did she ever describe memories that weren't her own, hinting at some kind of genetic or ancestral consciousness? Did she ever speak about the other side, famously signing comfortable whole when asked where gorillas go when they pass on? The Foundation confirmed this, but what other existential truths did she share that were deemed too profound for public consumption? Another, even wilder theory suggests Koko was more than just intelligent, that she was a kind of oracle, that she was tapping into a planetary consciousness that humans have long since lost. Proponents of this idea don't see her as a gorilla who learned English, but as an ambassador for the natural world, using the only language her captors could understand. When she signed, "Nature see you," was it a metaphor, or was she channeling a literal truth? A warning that the collective consciousness of the planet is aware and watching our destructive behavior. It sounds like science fiction, but how else could an animal raised in a lab formulate such a perfect, poetic, and terrifying warning about our relationship with the Earth? We spent millions of dollars and decades of research to teach an ape to talk, and her biggest message was one we seemed determined to ignore. She wasn't just talking about melting ice caps or endangered species. She was talking about a fundamental flaw in our character, a lack of wisdom, a dangerous arrogance. "Time hurry," she said. "Nature see you." It's a haunting final thought, that while we were watching her through a two-way mirror, nature, through her eyes, was watching us right back. And it was not impressed. Whether you believe she was a prophet or just a very clever ape, the mystery forces us to confront the same conclusion. Maybe the real experiment wasn't about whether a gorilla could learn to talk, but whether humanity could ever learn to listen. Are we as smart as we think we are? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe for more incredible stories.